Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my series check-in. This is a video series that I do quarterly where I check in on the previous 3 months and the series that I have finished, started, and then my TBR and plans for what I plan to read over the next 3 months. So just keeping myself accountable of the series that I'm in the middle of, because as a predominantly fantasy reader, I read a lot. It is the bulk of my reading, and this way I am able to keep up to, well, not keep up to date, but keep myself accountable of where I'm at with my series and make sure that I am working on them. And if I'm not working on them, that I have chosen to pause and DNF them, or just my general keeping myself accountable of where I'm at. Wrapping up what I have done in the first 3 months of the year. Last year I was very good at finishing series. Like I was continuing, finishing, finishing, and just I was doing an excellent job at that. This year I've started a lot of series, so that's what you will see from this video, that I have started a lot of series. So I will chat through what I have worked on and what I've started, and then I think my plans are just going to be trying to get back to and finish what I've started. So I have finished one series in the first 3 months of this year, and it was one that I actually started in the first 3 months of this year. So I mean, considering the number that I have started, it's not great, but at least I have finished one. It's something, and it was a very chunky one. So I have finished the Lycanius series, which I started in January and I finished it in March. So this is a epic fantasy series by James Islington. I really have thoroughly enjoyed this series. So it was a great ride from beginning to end. Lots of twists, lots of turns, quite like just a lot to get your head around, but I thoroughly enjoyed this and would definitely recommend it. I am planning to do a review of this trilogy, so I'll talk more in depth then. So that should be coming sometime in April, TBC. But yeah, so I will be talking more about this series because I have thoroughly enjoyed it from beginning to end and would definitely recommend this. And this was such a fun ride. So I did complete this series while I started and completed it. So that is something. I also did continue in a few series. So I continued in the Rook and Rose series by M.A. Carrick. This is the second book, The Liar's Knot. Another one I really thoroughly enjoyed. I really liked this as well. It did take me a while to read, but that was personal circumstances and not the book. But follows on from the Mask of Mirrors, which I thoroughly enjoyed last year. And again, another series that I would definitely recommend. I'm intrigued where this is gonna go next. I am now impatiently waiting for book 3, which I'm hoping we'll get by the end of the year, but it might be early 2023. But I thoroughly enjoyed this, so that's one that I continued in. So actually, it feels like the things that I've started, finished, continued in, they've all been very long. So I've been working my way through some big series. I continued in the Crescent City series, so House of Sky and Breath, being the second book, and chunky. And I liked but didn't love this one. I'm so sad about it. I'm so disappointed and sad about it. But it's one that I continued in, and I definitely will be continuing and finishing this series whenever the next book comes out. So that's another one. And then the fourth series that I continued in is Stormlight Archive, and I read Edge Dancer, which is the novella that goes between Words of Radiance and Oathbringer. So I am now ready to go into Oathbringer as and when, but yeah, that novella is now done. So that was quite an easy way to continue in a series by reading something very short. So that one I am not quite up to date with yet. I've still got a long way to go, like halfway to being up to date. Oh my god, that makes it sound so big. I'm halfway through the published works of the Stormlight Archive, and I've read like 2,500 pages or something ridiculous. Okay, and now for series that I have started. So I started the Justice of Kings, and this series by Richard Swan. This is the first book in this series, and this came out in the month of February. I had this advanced copy of it, which I read and enjoyed, and I do have a review up of this if you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts on this. Obviously, I'm up to date now because this has only just come out, so I cannot read any more in this, and I'm up to date until the next release. This is just the first, that's only got this first one that's out in this series, so I can't do any more with this for now, but it's up to date, and I enjoyed this. I then started the Green Rider series by Kristen Britton, and I won't be continuing that series. I read the first book. It was going to be we were going to read the whole series over the year with Vish and Sam as a buddy read, and none of us loved it. I think we all gave it like 3 stars. We all found it fine, but we didn't absolutely love it. So I did start the series, and then I promptly decided that I wasn't going to keep going with it because it just didn't hit all of the points that I need in a book. It felt there was a lot of action and a lot of plot and not a lot of character and world building, and I just wanted a little bit more character and world building for me to get connected to it. So that one I've decided I won't be continuing, and it can just be put to bed. Other ones that I started in February, I started Guild. So this is the first book in the Play to Prisoner series by Raven Kennedy. This is a quartet with the fourth book coming out in April, May time. So I've just read this first book. I liked it, didn't love it, but I feel like it does set up for some interesting things in the rest of the series. So I'm going to give the second book a try, see how I feel about that one, and then I'll make a decision. Hopefully I will keep going with the series and I'll really enjoy it. If I don't, then I'll just stop. But for now, I'm interested enough in this to keep reading. And this is a fantasy romance, not really much romance in this first book. Fantasy romance King Midas retelling. So this one was started. And also in February, I started Cold from the North, which is the first book in the Onyx-Born series by D.W. Ross. This is a self-published fantasy series. John Gwynne-esque would be the way I describe it. And I do have a whole video on self-published books. It was a reading blog where I did read both Guild and Cold from the North. So if you do want more thoughts on these books, then I will link that as well. All my wrap-ups will be linked in the description as well. So if you do want more thoughts on any of these, then that can be found there. But I will link that vlog. So yes, I enjoyed that one as well. And now we get into March. And because of my March TBR, which was the Stephanie Bookworth's TBR Star Hop, I ended up starting a lot of series, or putting lots of starts of series on there. I really didn't plan very well. It was just chaotic. It was chaotic. I mean, I found the video quite hilarious to edit, but there's a lot of starts of series on there. And I'd already started like quite a few. As you can tell, I'd already started quite a few in January and February, and then I just started loads and loads and loads of them in March. Okay, so March, I started Daughter of the Forest. So because Green Rider didn't work for us, we jumped ship and we opted to read the Seven Waters series by Juliette Marillier. We wanted to stick with the theme of like older fantasy works written by women. That was our like theme that we were going for. So, and this one was such a success. This was so much a success. Oh my god, it was so good. So good. We absolutely loved this. We went from a book which had like, Green Rider had like no exposition. It was just plot. And this was like so much exposition in the beginning. We were like, oh my god, this is like, what such a 180. But we absolutely love this in the end. I'm so excited to keep going with this series. So, spoiler, I'm going to be continuing with this. But we absolutely love this, and what a great start. What a great start. I will be, or have done, a discussion on this book with Fish, Sam, Evie, Jolene and Sarah. So I will link that in the description if you're interested in hearing all of our thoughts on this. Spoiler, we all love it. So this, I also started, well, I reread The Fellowship of the Ring. I have read this previously, or my father read this to me as a child growing up. So it's been probably coming up to like 20 odd years or something ridiculous since I first read this. Because I can't remember when we were reading The Fellowship. We read The Hobbit first, but I can't remember what age I was when we started reading this. So we're going to go with 20 odd years ago. And I listened to the audiobook of this by Andy Serkis. Such a good audiobook. Would definitely recommend the audiobook. And I do have a discussion up with Stephanie on this on my channel, and so I'll link that as well. And I really liked it. I really liked it, so I'm definitely going to be continuing. I'm really hoping to get past my original bookmark from when I read this the first time, because I never finished The Two Towers, so that's going to be an exciting accomplishment, getting past that. But I really enjoyed this, so definitely will be continuing in this. Also, I started The Women's War by Jenna Glass. This, again, I really thoroughly enjoyed. Like I've been enjoying a lot of the series I've been starting. It's been really positive. March was a very positive reading month. So I really like this. I was a bit surprised by how much I liked this. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's very political, so political. I love that. Again, I do actually have a vlog where I read both this and this. So if you're interested in more thoughts on these, then I will link it as well as my wrap up. But I do have that vlog. So I definitely plan to keep going with this and see how I feel about the rest of the series. I'm also currently reading The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. It's a bit hard to say as of right now how I'm going to feel about this, seeing as I am 100 pages in. So I'm enjoying what I'm reading. Again, it's another book with a lot of exposition, so there's a lot of like setup. A lot is being set up so far in this first 100 pages, which you would expect for a big epic fantasy, that it's going to have a lot of exposition and a lot to set up because it's an epic series. So not really surprised with that, but I have started this series. So as of right now, those are the series that I have started, which is a lot of series that I've started. It really is. It's a lot of series that I've started. So if you haven't guessed already, my plans for April, May and June is to finish what I've started and get my butt into gear and just figure this out, okay? Because things have gone wrong with my ongoing series. They've gone wrong and I need to get my shit together, okay? I need to get my shit together. So, my plans. It's just sequels. It's just sequels. There isn't really any plans to start anything. I don't think I've committed to any like buddy reads or like readathons or anything where I have to start anything. I'm just going to be continuing what I've started. So to reiterate what those are, I expect I will read The Two Towers in either April or May, and then The Return of the King. So this will hopefully be finished potentially in this next quarter. If I keep enjoying this, then I'm definitely going to want to continue with this. I know the fourth and final book comes out at the end of June, so if I can maybe get caught up before then, depending on how the rest of this goes, but I assume I'm going to be enjoying this, so I anticipate that I will be reading the rest of these. I hope to keep going with the Women's War and read the second and third book in this series, so there we go with this one. I will definitely be continuing with the Seven Waters series, because this is now going to be more of an official buddy read, and I'm going to be doing live shows on the rest of the series. So we definitely anticipate to read Son of the Shadows in April, even if I can't find myself a copy just yet, but I will keep hunting. So that one in April, and then Child of the Prophecy in May. So that's the first trilogy. It's a 6-book series overall, but I think it originally was a trilogy and then it got expanded potentially. So as you can see, I managed to get the third one. Struggling on the second one. This is definitely in the plans for both April and May. Again, I think I'm going to continue in the Guild series because I know the fourth and final book is coming out, so it makes sense for me to get caught up and read the rest of this series. Anything else? Any more? One I haven't quite started yet as of filming this, but it's been on the TBR, and I definitely do plan to read this, hopefully. I will start it before the end of the month, and that is The Dragonbone Chair by Tad Williams. So as long as I start this will then potentially, I don't know how I feel about this. I can't commit to reading the whole series because I don't know how I feel about this first one just yet. Other series, so ones that I haven't talked about yet because I haven't been reading them in this first quarter, but they're definitely ones that I am working on and want to be continuing with. So The Hunger of the Gods by John Gwynne comes out in April, so I definitely want to be reading the sequel to The Shadow of the Gods. I definitely want to be reading The Hunger of the Gods. I definitely want to be reading that. So continuing in the Bloodsworn saga, 100%. No questions asked. I'm 100% continuing this series. John Gwynne superfan here. These were in my video from the first quarter where I talked about some plans for some YA, and I actually haven't read any YA yet this year. I've been reading a lot of adult, so potentially it might be time to fit in some YA. So the YA options, to repeat them again, is When Night Breaks and Blood and Honey. And so these potentially, I know that the audiobook for this is on Scribd because I did start the first 5 minutes of it and then I changed my mind. So potentially this will finish off the series. So those are the YA options which are still on the list. And then one giant one, which I think it's going to be time for. It's been a few months. It has been a few months. Don't know whether it will be in April, May, or even June that I get to this. But I think within this quarter, I'm going to read Oathbringer. So I have been vlogging my experience of reading this series, so I do have a vlog for Way of Kings and Words of Radiance if you're interested in hearing my full spoilery thoughts and predictions from those books. I have, as I mentioned, continued with this series and I read Edge Dancer in March, so I think it's time. I think it's time to read this behemoth sometime within this next quarter. As you know, I'm trying to really space this series out so that by the time the 5th book in this arc comes out, I won't have to reread. That is my plan. And The vlogs I think are really helping as well to keep everything quite fresh in my mind, that everything is staying pretty fresh in there, probably because I'm reading these quite like methodically. Well, not methodically, like just I'm really like thinking about them as I read them. Oathbringer, I think it's going to be on the cards. And then the only other sequel, oh, I didn't get the book off the shelf. Oh dear, is it all going to go wrong? Oh, we tumbled. The only other sequel is Lachlan's, which is the third and final book in the Founders trilogy by Robert Jackson Bennett. This comes out in June. It comes out towards the end of June. It comes out on the 28th of June. So I might actually not get to it in June because that is right at the end of the month. So it might end up being in July, but potentially in June I will read Lachlan's. I've loved Robert Jackson Bennett's fantasy books. I haven't read any of his horror, but I really enjoyed both Foundracide and Shorefall, and I really enjoyed the Divine Cities trilogy, which I read last year. So really excited to read the conclusion to this trilogy when it comes out. So there we go. I think it's hard, based on where I am right now, to think about starting series because I've started so many and I have to just continue. I have to like spend these next 3 months working on what I've started, finish some things off, and just work on what I've started. Yeah, exactly. Just work on what I've started and spend the next 3 months fixing this mess and keep going in what just keep up, read some continuation, read some sequels, finales, just finish some series off, and then maybe by the time we get to the summer I can help create some more mess again and start loads of new series. But we'll see. I mean, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get these series up to date and back in order. Some of them I think are going to be much quicker than others. Like I anticipate the Plated Prison series, Guild, like that series, it's not going to take me very long. I read Guild super quickly. So it just depends, I think. Quite a few of these are adult epic fantasies, so it might take me some time. But we will have to see. We will have to see. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be wanting to mix in with this. I feel like it does have some variety in there, but we'll see. We'll see what I might want to mix in. But for now, I'm just going to be thinking about finishing things off. So there we go. There's my like wrap up and plans for the next 3 months. Let me know how your reading has been going with your series, if you have been doing very well at keeping up to date, or if you're like me and you've been starting so many series in this first quarter of the year. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!